My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey, welcome to episode 113 of Legally Clueless. Super excited that you are listening to this podcast, that you're part of the tribe. Remember, audio episodes go out every Monday and video episodes go up on our Legally Clueless video series every Friday on our YouTube channel. The link to that is in the description of this episode. Also, remember you can join our online fam on Instagram. We're at Legally Clueless Podcast. And you know what's so hilarious? So Twitter, I tell everybody who wants to, share about the podcast or just have side chats. No, sidebars. That's what they're called. Sidebars about the episodes to use the hashtag Legally Clueless so that I can find you. And I actually found somebody. Shout out to Chioma. Oh my goodness, from Nigeria. I found her on Twitter and she was like, "Hey, you are serious? You actually find us." Oh my goodness. But welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited about this episode because the storyteller is my big sister, Anne-Marie. It was so magical and so powerful to record the story. But before I get into it, this is what you can expect.
My period was late. We just joked about how maybe I might be pregnant. I remember the doctor I was seeing for my clinic. As soon as Uhuru made his announcement that Corona has landed in Kenya, the doctor shut her clinic and just heard us. She said, I quote, "This is very serious. You need to also take it very seriously. See you after the pandemic." So now the baby is coming, pandemic or not. Whenever someone's expecting, we never think of the ones who are winging it by themselves without their moms, like you're groping in the dark. That's really, really hard. So in my head, I know labor pains are supposed to be in the front. So when I reached 8 centimeters, I could literally feel a head.
I am so excited. I'm so excited because my sister Anne-Marie, when she was sharing the story, was so raw and just allowed us into her past year experience so graciously. I really cannot wait for you to hear this story. But before we get to that, I'm recording this on Mother's Day. Shout out to everybody who sent me, I checked the hotline this morning. I got quite a few messages from people just sending love because Mother's Day are normally here or there for me because, my mom passed away 9 years ago. But this Mother's Day is different. I don't know, man. Grief is so weird too. You can't foretell how you're going to react. You never know what emotion is going to come when. So past Mother's Days have been extremely difficult. I would have to devise survival plans weeks before. So if I'm subscribed to different shops that send out newsletters and things like that about sales, I unsubscribe 3 weeks before Mother's Day. I will limit my online activity as well because everybody's celebrating their very living mothers, and it can be, I don't know, you just feel like it's, let me not say you, I would feel like life was a bit unfair. But I think the past year in terms of motherhood has been different for me. And now on Mother's Days when I'm understanding, because I've been watching my sister so graciously look after her daughter, my niece, who I talk about all the time. I've never witnessed this mother-child connection so close to me and from the beginning, and it's really magical to watch from the outside in and to just see the bond that Bernadette has with my sister Anne-Marie, and from such a young age, she's not talking yet, and the bond is quite visible. So it's very magical. Remember, I'm a last born, so I didn't see any of this. I've never seen any of this before. I do know that on this day, I can feel thoughts of my mom almost at the door of my mind, knocking, trying to get in. And there's a bouncer of happiness who's just nope. We do not want you in today. We want to focus on this new warmth. But what I also can foretell, because I know my emotions so well and I know myself so well, is that because I'm not necessarily feeling sad about my mom today, in a few days or weeks, I will feel guilty for not feeling sad. Anyone who is battling grief will understand exactly what I mean by that. It sounds so irrational, but that's kind of like how it plays out. Anyway, when those days come with the guilt, see, I'll just tell you. Okay, I'm trying not to talk too much because I'm excited for you to hear my big sister on 100 African Stories. So I will jump straight into the song of the week, which please check it out. And I realize that on some platforms, you may not get a description of the episode. So like platforms like Spotify. So just search the name of the song and the name of the artist, maybe on YouTube, or just do a Google search. The song will pop up. I will still keep promising to set up that Legally Clueless playlist. I have started. I think I have arranged maybe like 30 songs so far. I think what I'm trying to do is make sure that the progression, so it's not just a playlist, like the progression of the songs makes emotional sense. Yeah, I'm probably overthinking it, but whatever, let me do that. So this week's song of the week is new work from one of my favorite artists, actually. Her name is Laura Mvula. I've spoken about her here before. One of the highlights of my life was watching her live on stage in 2017 at Afropunk, man. That was a New Year's to remember. So she has an album coming up pretty soon, and she's released, I think, 2 singles from the album, one of which is powerful. So the song of the week is Church Girl, and it's by Laura Mvula. I love how unpredictable the arrangement of her songs are, including this one, Church Girl, and I love the lyrics. She strikes me as being a poet because the lyrics are, on the face of it, seeming very simple. But I do this thing where I go and actually read lyrics of songs that I love, and I read them like poetry. When you read this one, it's a poem. Imagine. I've claimed it. I mean, there's a bit which I think, is the chorus where she says, how can you dance with the devil on your back? How can you move caught up in a picture perfect that will never last? I was chamboying this thing like a poem, you guys. I really like it. I've put a link to the song in the description of this episode. If you cannot access that link, just search Church Girl by Laura Mvula. And speaking of other links that you probably can't access if you're listening on a platform that's not giving you the description, if you are looking for our video series, it's on our new YouTube channel. So you could either click the link in the bio of our Instagram page, which is Legally Clueless Podcast, or you could just search Legally Clueless on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it'll pop up. Okay, let's jump into 100 African Stories. Can you tell how giddy I am? I'm so excited. As soon as my sister Anne-Marie gave birth, well, not as soon as, I don't want it to seem like as soon as she got out of the labor ward, I was there with my microphone. No. She was back home and a couple of months had passed and we were talking about labor and all of those things. And I was like, oh my God, it would be so great to have you on the podcast. But, we were like, okay, yeah, we'll definitely do it later because at that point, a newborn, not much sleep was happening in that house. It was a bit hectic trying to adjust. And then I reached out again, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I was like, are you ready? And she's like, yes. And she to prepare, she wrote, this is how I discovered that my sister is actually a really good writer. She wrote down her thoughts and wrote down her story. And I read it. I was like, this is so dope. You actually write really well. And so then we set a date and time to record her story. I was scared at first because, yes, I wanted her to share her journey through motherhood, but I didn't want the recording to take her somewhere that she didn't want to go or somewhere that would make her feel like she's breaking, you know what I mean? Especially in terms of motherhood without mommy. I would always, over the past year, just be like, I don't know how to fix this for her. I'm very protective over my sisters. And so if something is causing them emotional distress, I'm thinking, okay, how do we fix this? But this is beyond my understanding. I've never been a mother. Sometimes I don't even know what's the best support. You know what I mean? Yes, hanging out with Bernie, because right now her attention is like all of 15 seconds. So you need to keep her entertained. You need to check in with like 40 games ready to roll. You know what I mean? So there's that. You can take care of Bernie and just like give my sister a breather. But I'm also like, okay, what else? How do we make this easier? Because I knew I hadn't had that specific conversation, but I knew for sure motherhood without mommy must be very hectic to navigate. But she's doing it so graciously. It's so magical to watch. Anyway, it's not my story. Look at me going on and on. It's her story. So my sister Anne-Marie is on 100 African Stories. 100 African Stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Anne-Marie and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I never saw myself as a mom. It just wasn't. It's not something that I planned for. In fact, I think I planned not to have kids. It just wasn't a priority for me. I would have just been fine going through life without that responsibility. Because growing up from the way I did, I just thought having kids is a really, really big responsibility that one should not take on if they're not ready for it. Or if you know you can't do it, just don't. Imagine, because kids they really deserve the best of you. You can't half-ass it, or they don't deserve for you to half-ass it. Funny enough, I don't know, I just was never around that many kids outside of maybe visiting people here and there. Seeing a kid, that was my whole interaction with kids. Just, okay, they're cute, but I don't get to stay with them, so it's none of my business. So on some level, I was quite convinced that I wasn't able to conceive. And I didn't really have a problem with that because kids just were not in my plan. It was just never a factor. So I didn't even bother going to a doctor to get it checked, even when I hit 30, because I was just, even if I don't have kids, life is okay. Why would I be changing my fabulous life? But I remember one time I attended, someone had invited me for a landmark forum. But during the self-introduction, one of my in-laws at the time happened to be in attendance. So during self-introduction, she announced to the entire room that I am her in-law and I had refused to give them a child. So at that time, I remember I was really bothered that that she had the audacity to talk about my reproductive situation with strangers. But I wasn't even worried about whether I could have a kid or not. I was really okay and I was at peace with not having a child. And I think I even mentioned to even past partners that was not something I was looking for. But yeah, kids, I just did not factor them in at all. It was just never a reality for me, you know? 18th November 2019. So my period was late. I hadn't thought much about it because I'm just not... My period is very regular, and the few times that I've missed my period, it's been either diet or anxiety about something. So I always know there's something behind it. But this one, I missed it. And in my head, I just thought, maybe I'm going through something. And I don't know yet what I'm going through, but it will be back. We had a conversation with my partner, my boyfriend at the time. And he was, we just joked about how maybe I might be pregnant. I laughed, ha ha ha. I think that was the day before. So the next day I was at work. I was running errands at Village Market and I see a pharmacy. I said, maybe for laughs, let me just get a pregnancy test. So I do. I remember, and there are many brands, by the way. If you didn't, there's like a whole section. So I pick a pregnancy test and I get back to the office. And for some reason, I couldn't wait. I decided, let me just sit here. Let me take this test. Dum, 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 dum. You pee on it. You pee. Then you wait. You put it on a flat surface. It even says on the instructions, flat surface. But in my head, I really didn't even think it was going to be positive. Then I looked at it has a small window. I don't know how to explain that window. Yes, a box. And if it has 2 lines, then you're pregnant. If it has 1 line, then you're not pregnant. In my head, I thought I saw 2 lines first. So I said, I must have read those instructions wrong. Let me just start reading them from scratch again. I went and said, did I really pee the way I was supposed to pee? But anyway, so it was positive and I was filled with absolute terror. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. I decided, okay, my boyfriend is the one who needs to know. So I took a picture of the test and I sent it to him on WhatsApp. And I'm still sitting on this toilet, by the way, through all of this. So he texts me back in a very male way. So what does this mean? So I'm like, it means I'm pregnant. So he called back immediately. And now by this time, it started sinking in a bit. So now I'm crying. I am just crying. Ugly, snotty tears. They are just coming out, everything. And so he just calmed me down and told me, let's talk about it in the evening. So I got myself together. You have to just put your game face on and go back to work. My fear was not being able to be a good mom. Your whole life, you've just winged it. You've only had to think about yourself. Even if you're in a relationship, you're adults. Everyone with their own issues. Kila mtu na mzigo yake. Your responsibility for self is such that you're able to, even if you make a mistake, you know that it's just you affected, really. Most of the time. If you have a child, there's nothing, for me at least I think, there's no decision that you make that will not impact that child. The ripple effect is huge and can make or break this really innocent being. So it just filled me with such terror. That can I really do something like this? I think the only pet I ever had was a goldfish who jumped out of the aquarium. Now a whole human being wants, I didn't think I had the capability at all. My conversation with my boyfriend was really reassuring. He handled it like a G-man. You hear horror stories about this guy, Sijui, is talking about abortion and giving you, Sijui, 3,000 bob, go take care of this. No, that wasn't my experience. And being that this was, in my entire life, my first pregnancy scare. And not even a pregnancy scare, now it is real. He was like awesome. He really made me feel like this is something I could do. The minute you learn that you're pregnant, it's now like you become aware of everything that has changed in your body. Because I remember feeling like the breast tenderness, and then now I'm like, oh my goodness, that is it. And my skin had been glowing for weeks. In fact, people had told me, and I'm like, yeah, must be this hydration thing I'm on. Wapi. But yeah, once you learn that you're pregnant is when you're like, everything makes sense. It's like, hey, I did not even need a test to tell me this thing. After I found out, now towards the end of November, beginning of December, we had planned a vacation with my boyfriend. We were going, to the beach. It was supposed to be And anyone who knows me, when I take off from work, December is my time to let loose. So we had paid for this vacation, and now here I am pregnant. But now we can't cancel. It has to happen. So I was going through a lot of nausea at the time. I remember I could barely eat. So even on vacation, it was a very tough vacation for me. I could eat only breakfast. Breakfast was the highlight of my day. I could stuff my face. From there, I was just sick the rest of the day, entire day. All those two cocktails that were in my mind that I was going to enjoy. I just had to make do with looking at my boyfriend enjoying his drinks. I tried, they do those virgin cocktails. Those things are a scam, a very big scam. And they have no place at a beach. But yeah, it was a different kind of vacation that just brought home that life was about to drastically change. We really needed that break. We really, to just, I think, internalize what was happening. It really helped us with that. I learned I was pregnant in November. So of course, in January 2020, we've had something about Corona, but it's over there. It's not really near us. Really, January, I was just going to work as usual. Nothing much had changed on that front. We had decided to move in together with my boyfriend. So that was the only big change. I remember the doctor I was seeing for my clinic, as soon as Uhuru made his announcement that Corona has landed in Kenya, the doctor shut her clinic and just heard us. She said, I quote, "This is very serious. You need to also take it very seriously. See you after the pandemic." So basically, I was there pregnant without a doctor. I was also panicking because, you're pregnant and they tell you there's this thing that could wipe out the whole of the population. And you don't know, are you going to make it through? I remember running out of the house while Uhuru was still talking, going to the supermarket, and it was full. And I'm this pregnant woman with a trolley. Yes, I'm those people who took like 5 bales of toilet paper. I am not ashamed. I thought the world was ending. And toilet paper would save us. But yeah, it was so much stress because I had nightmares that I wouldn't be able to breathe during labor and I wouldn't be able to have this baby. Back then, no one knew what this Corona thing was. It's just, if you leave your house, you're dead. So it was a bit of an extra strain. Although the first, we also enjoyed a bit. I can't say it was all bad because everyone was home. So I think my boyfriend and I really bonded. He was my isolation partner and we learned even more about each other and we connected in so many ways. As far as work, my employer was so awesome. We were sent home on full salary, so that wasn't something I had to worry about. I appreciate a lot of people were affected worse than we were, but for me being pregnant, it was just a load off my mind. So now the baby is coming, pandemic or not. Of course, we did the nursery. My boyfriend was so awesome. He did a lot of the artwork. He got the furniture. Me, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. So that was all him. And he did a fantastic job. We did the whole Biashara Street trip. So Biashara Street is basically, direct translation, Biashara is business. Business street. A lot of business happens there. But there's this one section that has everything you'd need for a baby. My sister had actually given me a list in Excel format. Amanda, shout out to you. Of the things I needed. So I reached there and I'm pulling out all these papers out of my bag. I have this whole list and I have to check it off. But I found a really nice lady. she'd help me and tell me, okay, this is what you need, this is what you don't need, you need this much quantity of this. She was really awesome. So I found myself just opening up to her and talking to her about what to expect, because being the firstborn, there was really, my sisters and I, none of us had really experienced this. And being that my mom had passed away, there was really, within my immediate circle, there was really no one to kind of guide me on this. We were just all, including my sisters, just going through this for the first time. So I felt an opportunity to ask the sales lady things about delivery, what should I expect, and she really helped and indulged me, answering all my questions. But I think at some point even my questions just became too much. And she told me, don't worry about it so much. Your mother will tell you and she'll help you. And my heart just dropped, because of course there was no way for her to know that my mom had passed away. But it took everything within me at that point in time just to hold it together, because it was something that I had thought about, but I hadn't verbalized it. So I hadn't really verbalized it to anyone, how much I was already missing my mom, what void I was feeling. So when she said it, it was like a paper crumpling inside me. Whenever someone's expecting, we never think of the ones who are winging it on by themselves, without their moms, without a guiding light. Actually, that's what it feels like you're groping in the dark. It's really, really hard. And if I thought I missed her before, it's just so much harder. So all we can do is just try to remember the mother she was and try to take her example. Although sometimes I really give her grace. I try to imagine she had these 3 kids in her 20s. If I think back to my 20s and whether I'd be able to handle even 1 kid, leave alone 3. I don't see it as a possibility. So it's taught me to just give her so much grace and understanding for the decisions she made, whether I agreed with them or not. It's just taught me to give her so much grace. I'm so proud of the mother she was to us. If I could be even a quarter of the mother she was to us, to my daughter, I'd be very happy. I'd say I'm successful. From my youth, I really didn't see myself as a mom, really. But when I lost my mom, I think I was doubly determined that I wouldn't have a kid, because I just didn't feel like I had the strength to do it without my mom. I mean, she had been with me my entire life, so am I crazy? Why would I take on such a responsibility when she's not there? How in the world was that supposed to work? Definitely my mom not being there made me feel like I shouldn't have a child. Plus, who wants to do it without their mom anyway? It's not something that you think. I mean, there's always supposed to be space for a grandma. If she's not there, then what are you doing? Once you've suffered such a loss, you really question your capability to move on, and you even question whether you want to move on. So, and do you really ever move on? I don't know if I've moved on. I don't think so. Because I still can't imagine waking up tomorrow without her. It's scary. There are a lot of decisions I make that I would feel much better if I had her with me to maybe hold me when I fall. I think that's it. In case it doesn't work out, like you're so scared, there's no net to catch you at the bottom. So it's scary. It's really scary to do something this huge without your rock. My labor, how did that go? So I'm a first-time mom, I had no idea what labor is supposed to look like. I had read books. I had downloaded an app. So, you read things here and there. But kwa grao, vitu ni different. Things are very different. I remember it was a Saturday night and I couldn't sleep all the way till Sunday morning. I couldn't sleep in bed. So I ended up spending the night on an armchair in my room, which is where my partner found me in the morning. And he was like, "Hey, is this how you slept?" I'm like, "Yeah, my back is just killing me. I don't know what's happening." Back then, pandemic time, life was just between bedroom and couch. So after a shower, I just went back downstairs to the couch. That day, my sister Adele and her husband Falgun were coming for dinner. So the whole day I had spent on the couch with a hot water bottle on my back. So in my head, I know labor pains are supposed to be in the front. So it really cannot be labor pains. It's uncomfortable, but I'm just powering through. I'm like, this baby, maybe today she didn't wake up on the right side. I don't know. But she's been on the wrong side for a while. So my sister and her husband came for dinner. They had dinner and left. That's when I noticed the pains were they were coming after, it seemed to be after every 10 minutes. And they tell you in the app, at least, you're supposed to watch out for pain after very consistent intervals. Oh, before that, sometime in the afternoon, that Sunday afternoon, I had gone upstairs and my mucus plug came out. I'd gone to the bathroom and my mucus plug came out. If you've never been pregnant, I don't think you know what a mucus plug is. Because even me, I didn't know. I just thought people were going to labor and they just go. So this mucus plug, please do not Google. If you Google, I don't know, you will just not eat today. So it came out and I remember in the bathroom even taking a picture of it. Yes, I took a picture because I was like, this is strange, but let's see. And then the app says once it comes out, it can even be days before you deliver. So I was like, okay, that looks like a mucus plug, but it's okay. Let me just wing it, see how this goes. So I went back downstairs, had dinner with my sister and her husband. Now, after they left, I realized the pain was coming at very definite intervals. I even timed them. It was 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, I had a serious pain. So I called an aunt and she's like, just go to the hospital and get it checked. It's probably nothing, but it's good to just get it checked. They'll send you back home. Don't worry about it. It's not even your due date yet. We decided, this is after curfew, because the curfew due to the pandemic was at 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., you were not supposed to be outside. So I talked to my partner. He's just like, I don't think so. He was just like, let's just sleep. We see how it goes. I'm like, no, the way I'm feeling, let's just go check. I'm sure they'll send us back. Now, I hadn't even packed my hospital bag. Something my sister Amanda, I think, should have slapped me if she had been there. Because she had been telling me for weeks, have you packed your hospital bag? Have you packed? We got into the car. I remember we were in such a rush that we had even left the check. For a hospital you pay for your maternity package ahead of time, so you have to carry all those documents with you to the hospital. We had to even come back, get those documents, and then we went. So now Nairobi Hospital at that time had the screening outside intense. You couldn't just walk into the hospital. First they screen you for corona, then you can walk into hospital. So we get done with all that temperature check. I don't even know what other questions they were asking. Have you traveled or anything like that? By the time I'm standing up to walk into hospital, I can barely move because now the pain is coming like every 3 minutes. They literally had to hold me, one on each side, the nurse and my partner. So we get into hospital and the nurses check me out and surprise, surprise, you're 2 centimeters dilated. Me, I'm just in shock. My partner, I think he was even in more shock. He's like, no. Is this really happening? Yeah, it's happening. We are not in here for fun times. 2 centimeters dilated. I wasn't going home. They, checked me in. I got into bed. That was the longest night of my life. I don't think you guys understand labor. So the whole night, we didn't sleep the whole night. In fact, I remember I had a birth plan. So because of Corona, unfortunately, they were only allowing one person to stay with you. My plan had been for my sister Amanda, to be there. She had a playlist. She'd carried the Bluetooth speakers. She had every dextrosol. We were fully loaded. We knew how this was going to go. But now at this time, I'm also thinking, okay, so what we can do is my partner can stay through the night, because I'm sure this baby is not coming right now. Still, even with all this pain, in my head, I think I'm still in denial. The baby's not coming right now. So what you do, Amanda, you come in the morning. I think now we'll be ready. So my sister just went back home with Bluetooth speaker, playlist. So the whole night, I am in pain. Severe pain. But it was seriously severe pain. My partner was, now he couldn't sleep. So he's sitting by my bedside, and I'm, every time the pain rocks me, I'm just squeezing him. It was intense. At some point, I even told him, I need drugs. I need something to knock me out, so that if you have a Flintstones club, all the better. But just go outside there, talk to those nurses. They must give me something. So it wasn't until that point where they gave me some drugs that at least helped me sleep, because that pain was really intense. Then the doctor keeps coming around to check how dilated you are. And this every few hours she comes, it's only changed by maybe 2 centimeters. Every few hours. So we are supposed to be aiming for 10 centimeters here, but I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It was just darkness. So when I reached 8 centimeters, now by this time it's morning, I'm at 8 centimeters. I could literally feel a head. I don't know how to explain that for people to understand, but I could literally feel a head. And this nurse, I'm telling the nurse, this baby is coming. And she's like, no, hold until you reach 10 centimeters. I'm like, how do you hold? How? Please show me. I would love to be able to hold, but how? So then I think one nurse saw that I was serious. That's another thing. Please, medical personnel, professionals, please, when someone is telling you something about their body, please believe them, because it was so hard getting them to understand that I am past where they think I am. It was very hard. So imagine now I'm feeling ahead and I'm not yet in the delivery room. I'm still in the labor ward. Now I have to get off this bed while I'm feeling ahead to go to another room. They should have just been able to take me there earlier. So anyway, we go to this delivery room, and now I am... the pain was so intense, I don't even know. It was like you want to give up, but your body is not letting you give up. Because if it was up to my own will, I think I would have given up. But your body is not letting you. It's making you fully aware of everything that is going on. So I sit there and I can hear the doctor is being called, and he's busy asking for his N95 mask. So unfortunately, by the time he even found this mask, the nurse already delivered my baby. It was just that fast. And it just happens. That push thing in the movies is real, by the way. They do tell you to push. And you will push. And I remember my partner kept on telling me, just breathe, Anna, just breathe. And I just wanted him not to breathe next to me. But yeah, you push, and this baby comes out. And it was just, I can't say it was like music, like in the movies, no. I was just so happy that that baby has come out. Because I'd been ready for her to come out for like 4 months. So yeah, she was born on 13th July at 7:23 a.m. It was surreal. I remember just looking at the doctor. They just take her from you first. And I think I heard her crying. But then now my partner was with her and was taking pictures with the doctor. Me, I'm here. By the way, they don't tell you that the labor, you're supposed to push. Once the baby comes out, then you push again. There's something called placenta. Me, I didn't know. So you push again for the placenta to come out. And then you're done. The nurse who cut the umbilical cord, I think she was new at it. And she did it wrong. So when she did, a lot of blood ended up spraying all over the walls. And I remember when I was done, I got off the bed and I looked around. That's the first time I noticed. I looked around and there was blood everywhere. And I just asked her, is that my blood? Because it just looked like a horror movie. I was taken back to my room. They have to take you to the maternity ward after that. Then they brought me Bernie. She was so tiny. She was so tiny. I just held her. But then there's something else they don't tell you. Sometimes the drugs they give you have a side effect and they don't tell you this. So I started shivering uncontrollably. I had to tell my partner to take the baby because I wasn't able even to hold her. So he takes the baby, but he's also scared. He's wondering what happened. Even me, I'm thinking I'm dying because because my teeth were chattering. I'm freezing cold. It was just something I'd never felt in my whole entire life. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, I must have lost all the blood in my body. This is it. But Kumbe was just, it was just a side effect of the drugs. So I was taken to the maternity ward the first night. Hey, again, medical professionals, if you, it's not a calling, by the way, just leave it alone. It's not a must because you don't understand the struggles. Some people, you think everyone knows how to take care of a baby or everyone is prepared for it. It's not the case. Some of us are just experiencing it for the first time. So just please be gentle. Have some empathy. There's a nurse I remember who told me, because Bernie was crying. She was crying like through the night, that first night. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? So then she comes to change the baby. And instead of just telling me, okay, maybe check the baby or maybe feed her or try this and this, giving me solutions, she just starts changing the baby and tells me, please watch because I'm only going to do this one time. After that, it's up to you. I was shocked, but keep in mind that I'm also drugged up because I'm on pain meds. I was quite shocked by that nurse. I was really, really shocked. So anyway, I made it through. So I delivered Monday morning. Tuesday, I was ready to go home. Let me not say I was ready. I was not ready to go home, but they wanted me out. I was really terrified because she was so tiny, so beautiful, but so tiny. The clothes, I think I'd forgotten to pack her clothes in the hospital bag. So Melvin, my partner, had carried stuff for her, but it wasn't what I envisioned. Nothing ever goes according to plan. The clothes I thought I was going to wear coming out of hospital, I could not because I wasn't feeling cute. Trust me, there's nothing cute about that feeling at that point. But I went home with my baby Bernie and she was just absolutely beautiful. Apart from the lungs, she was very, very beautiful. My journey from there was being a pandemic. People cannot just come. So on the most part, I was with my domestic help Chalo and my partner. So now I'm with two men. It's just me and two men and this baby. And people tell me stories how they were with their mothers or their mothers-in-law. Mine was very different. All of us are just learning as we go. We are all the same. There's no teacher-student here. in a way, it was beautiful because I think Melvin and I were able to be really, really involved and form a team. We relied on each other, and it was just beautiful. He really came through in terms of feeding me. He would make me leek soup. But he would just really take care of me. I can't say that I wasn't taken care of. He did. He went above and beyond than I think most men. He has never failed to step up. He has, from when I told him about the pregnancy, he just stepped up in a way that I don't know many men do. Because I remember even going for clinics, we would always see women alone. And I used to wonder how do they manage? And I think it's very unfair, men, if you're listening, it's very unfair to let someone go through such a life-changing process on their own. Just the emotional support, I think, is very important. It gave me a kind of strength and just a peace of mind, even through the pandemic worry or anxiety. It just gave me peace of mind that I'm not doing this alone. And I think also it's important to keep it up because even after Bernie was born, both of us have always showed up to any of her clinics. Just don't let someone go through it alone because it's not fair. It's really not fair. And I think it doesn't even matter if you're not in a relationship anymore, but just as a human being, it's important for you to be there for that person. So Bernie will be 1 year in July. She's turned the house upside down. If you come to visit my house, it's like one big nursery. There's like signs of Bernie everywhere, literally everywhere, from the door to the back. You can tell that Bernie has arrived. I can say, for me, I was very lucky that, first of all, I was lucky there was a pandemic. I know that's weird, but I was lucky in that I was able to be home that whole time while I was pregnant. Then, of course, my employer gave me maternity leave of 4 months from the date of delivery. And after that 4 months, I got 6 months of working half day. So I've really had a lot of time with Bernie. To to watch her has been a blessing. And she grows so fast. She has she's given me anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety. Every day I think, in different situations, I always think the worst can happen. Even just stepping out of my house, it's like I'm at war with the world. Like, I have to make it back home to my Bernie, so y'all don't mess with me. There's someone waiting for me at home. So I worry a lot, but I can't change that. I think she's made me more intentional with my decisions. I really think through things a lot more. I'm a bit more serious with with life. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I take things very seriously now. Of course, there's the you can't party like you want, but I don't even think I want to, because first I would be so worried that something is not going right with her. It's like I don't trust anyone else but myself. But also, you don't want to be hungover and deal with her. Hey, that's when you're just setting yourself up for magnificent failure. Being a mother is very challenging, but also very rewarding once you've gotten into the rhythm of things. There's no rule book. There's no right or wrong. Basically, it's what is right for you and what is right for your baby, because a happy mother makes a happy baby. One thing a doctor told me during one of our clinic visits is the optimum situation is where parents or a mother is so well in tune with their baby that they are able to tell the doctor what is wrong or what the issue is. Basically, you are the doctor's greatest resource when it comes to your baby. You're the one who knows what the baby is feeling, and it's like kind of a silent language. The baby can express themselves, but you're the one who is learning. You're with the baby every day. You're the one who is learning how to understand them and really articulate for them. You are your baby's voice, really. So don't let people tell you, oh, this is what you should do for your baby. The answer is there. You just know. So you should be able to trust yourself. It's hard in the beginning, but just try and trust yourself. Even with breastfeeding, I remember she had latched on properly in hospital, but when I got home, you know the way you go back to your routine. So I would shower and then oil myself. And somehow the scent on the nipples like really threw her off, and she just stopped breastfeeding. It really, depressed me for a while because by the time I figured out, this was the issue, she had, stopped breastfeeding, and now I had put her onto formula. Then she didn't want to go back to breastfeeding. So it really bothered me for a while until I realized, surely, Anna, there are babies who survive every day without breast milk. I just kept with the breast milk, with the formula rather. And we've never had an issue. She's growing at what I think is a normal rate, whatever normal is. She has had no issues. She's a happy, healthy baby. So don't put so much stress on yourself because maybe you're not producing enough milk. People have survived without it. People will continue to survive without it, and it doesn't make you any less of a mom. As far as weaning is concerned, I remember for us, our issue was that Bernie was not getting full. Even you as a whole adult, if I just kept you on a diet of milk, surely it will, at some point, even you'll throw your hands up and say, hey, I can't live like this. So she wasn't sleeping. So by instinct, we decided to wean her at 4 months. We just started with veggie purees, and now at 9 months, Bunny is having breakfast, she's having lunch, she's having dinner. Of course, you still have to keep up with the milk, but just go by instinct. At some point, you'll know when enough is enough for your baby. Just know your baby. Don't do what the book is telling you, because if they were to write a book, it would have to be a book for each and every child in the world, each and every baby in the world, because babies are different. You will not find two babies who are the same. After all, we're all individuals. So why do you want them all to be the same? Yet when we are adults, we are saying we are all different people. Just, do what you think is right for your baby. Another thing that's changed is friendships. I've lost quite a number of friends. Well, I don't know whether to say lost. Maybe I should say they've fallen away. But as with any relationships, we don't own any person. So some people are there in your life for a reason, some for a season, and it's okay. Don't force friendships. Like everything, it's organic. Everything in this world is quite organic. So if it's not there, don't force. In fact, forcing, I think, you'll just stress yourself even more. As it is, will I think about Bunny's food, or will I think about a friendship that is not working? Choose your battles. But even with the ones that remain, I find they become more fulfilling, more rewarding friendships. So it's just like separating the wheat from the chaff. And it's life that is doing it for you. Yes, you can mourn a friendship or grieve a friendship, but I think if it was really worth it, then it would survive. It would really survive a baby. So if it hasn't, then maybe time was just up for it. The relationship with your partner will change. Things will really get tough. In fact, sometimes, when we used to hear people actually saying they're having a baby to fix a relationship that was already struggling. Okay, right now I feel like I can almost cry for them, because having a baby will challenge that relationship in ways that you could never imagine. And please remember, you're both evolving, you're both changing at the same time. You're both discovering new facets to your partner. Some you will like, some you may not like. It is difficult. It is so, so difficult. Don't imagine that having a baby will help you, because you're in for such a rude shock. And also there's also that clash in parenting styles. There's some people have an idea of how they want this child raised. The other one will have different ideas. I remember one time I had insisted that I did not want Barney's hair to be shaved. Imagine my shock when I get home and Barney is bald. Safi kama balloon. Hey, it was almost World War III in the house. By the way, it may seem like such a small issue, but for me it was almost like I did not feel heard. I took it so personally, by the way. At some point I even remember thinking, am I sure that this is about Bunny's hair, really? But you will have those run-ins, you will headbutt, you will snap at each other. So if your relationship is already on slippery ground, then I hate to break it to you, you will not make it. You really will not make it. In terms of plans, for the first time in my adult life, Asijui, it's called adulting. She's really made me adult. But I remember beginning of this year, my partner and I had a conversation about our goals for life. That's something I'd never ever done with anyone. It was such a beautiful experience just to be able to discuss the future in a way to build us both up, plus Bernie. So it was just a different experience for me, which I don't even think we would have done without Bernie. And after that conversation, we actually actioned everything that we talked about in less than 6 months. So I think it does make you take life a bit more seriously, make intentional decisions that you may not have if you didn't have. Children are like they really push you to be your absolute best. And it may have been there all along. It may not even be children that makes you, it may be something else. But for me, it's Bernie that has really pushed me to be the best I can be and to make all those decisions that I was scared of or putting off. She has really been that for me. So I think for her first birthday, I will just be celebrating her for making such positive changes in my life.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. Oh my word. I really enjoyed recording that story. I connected with my sister not on having a child. Can't relate, but on how losing your mom can make you step back from motherhood. It was interesting. So for her, it was more along the lines, as she said, of not wanting to do this huge thing without mommy. For me, I guess there's a bit of that, but like 90% is I don't want to have more, and this is very irrational, but I don't want to have more loved ones have to go through grief when I die. It is so irrational, but I have rationalized it in my head. That's not the only reason that I don't want kids, but like when it comes to motherhood and losing a mom, that's really the bulk of my feelings towards it. What is also so interesting is my sister Anne-Marie reminds me so much of my mom now. When my mom would get home from work, when other people say that there's fear when their parents come back and stuff like that, no, there was still happiness that, oh, mommy's back. Like you feel a sense of warmth and comfort. Unless, of course, you've broken something. Which in my case happened quite a few times. Because then it's just like, oh, shit. We have to explain this mess. But I see the same thing with my niece when my sister comes back home from work. Like, Bernie loses it. The excitement in her heart is from her toes. And she's just so excited and like putting her hands out to her mom. Like her mom can't even put down her bags and stuff. Like she has to carry Bernadette plus all of those things, and it's just so cute to watch. There also is, weirdly enough, as much as Bernie is not yet even one, you can see there's a friendship between the two of them, which I think is a very integral part of parenting. I know many people are like, no, you can't be friends with your kids. I don't know, man. I think you can. And I think you should. I mean, you're their first gateway into understanding this world, right? So yes, you're teaching them a lot and all of that, but there must be some form of friendship. And it's so wild to see that exist for my sister and her daughter from such a young age. They have just so much love between them. And sometimes I'm like, wow, Anna, how are you doing it so gracefully? Kind of like how mommy was. So I think that's why it means so much to me to have her on the podcast. I'm so happy I left radio. I would never be able to do this on a radio show. I hope you enjoyed the story. Remember, you too can be on this podcast. All you have to do is either send a 1-minute story demo to the hotline number, just basically telling me a bit about the story that you want to share. And the hotline number is +254 768 628 790. So you can just record it using your WhatsApp audio note feature and then send the demo via WhatsApp. You can also, in the link of this description and the link in the bio of our Instagram page, is a Google form. You can fill it out, and that's how you can kind of let me know a bit more about the story you want to share, plus other details, and I will get back to you. Also on the hotline, if you hear something on this podcast that you identify with, hey, record an audio note. Send it to me.
Hey Adele, I'm Bravan from Mombasa. I'm actually a new fan. I've so far listened to 2 of your podcasts, episode 94 and episode 112. So far, they're really awesome. Somehow they're keeping me into my own zone and realizing that my own happiness matters. And I'm really thankful for what you're providing us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bravin, for that audio note. I'm so glad that even in Mombasa, you're listening to Legally Clueless and you're identifying with some of the stories that you've heard. I'm very thankful that you listen to this podcast. Do remember that the podcast plays on Trace Radio in Kenya every Monday and Wednesday at 12 noon and 7 p.m. and on Fridays at 12 noon. So if you head over to traceradio.co.ke, you can find a list of the various frequencies so that wherever you are in Kenya, you can tune in and listen to the podcast there. We also have the video series. In case you do not know, we launched that a couple of weeks ago. Well, over a month ago. Actually, it is 5 weeks ago. So excited. So we have different storytellers who come onto our bright, beautiful, yellow, Legally Clueless set and share a story. The video series is on our Legally Clueless YouTube channel. Again, link to that is in the description of this episode. If you're listening on a platform that does not have a description, I'm side-eyeing that platform. It's so strange. Like, why would they do that? Anyway, you can head over to our Instagram page at Legally Clueless Podcast and just hit the link in bio and you'll be directed to the video series. Trust me, it is super awesome. I'm proud of the work we're doing and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Remember, new audio episodes out every Monday and video episodes on the video series are out every Friday. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.